This particular exhibition or body of work that I'm exhibiting, I gave it a title, Gorgeous Grotesque. And in Luganda, it's called Ekimyula Ekijjankunene. It all started off, I always work along things that are uncomfortable, that people can't talk about. That is how I create my work. So this particular body of work, as I'm working, I've been thinking about how people look at us as the most disgusting things in the gay community. I also talk about mostly as on a point of view from where I come from and things that affect me personally and how I feel about communicating these things. So when you look at Ekijjankunene is a very disgusting word. Gay people still today are being called rubbish. So that is where my point of view started from. How can I bring the rubbish, all the discarded material into my art to make it look beautiful? That's why I use found material. But for this particular body, I'm looking at now how they're calling us insane. They're calling gay people. I'm actually talking for me now, but I know it doesn't affect me only, it affects every other person. The fact that they can no longer call me rubbish anymore because I've proved it in my work. I've proved it in my work. My work is not rubbish. It is beautiful work with a combination of what they call rubbish. Not everybody that throws out rubbish or throws out whatever they don't need, other people use it. So that has always been my concept. But now there is this starts off from my family where my uncle I'm calling actually this body of work. I'm talking with my cousin, I'm going to Boston, and I'm asking her, how is uncle? And he's like, oh, my father still disrespects you and calls you insane or a nuisance. So the word grotesque took us forever to kind of make it I'm working with my studio manager, I'm working with my professor to figure out how can I bring the term insane in a better way, because I'm not insane. Every time you come out to say something powerful, you're looked at as a mad person, if it makes sense. So the word grotesque, that is where it comes from. And gorgeous, I want to show my work, of course, it's gorgeous as usual. It's beautiful. I look at trans women who are beautiful. I look at gay people who are beautiful. But for the fact that it also brings back to any other a political leader trying to oppose the government or anybody trying to raise their voices, they're called insane. There is that term where people look at them as insane or idiot. So they kind of want to make somebody look small, however much they know you're making sense, if that makes sense. So that's where this body of work came from. It first comes from a very personal perspective, but then when I explain it to my friend, everybody has that element in them where their family members, whenever you stand up to talk for yourself, you're undermined and almost want to be locked up in an asylum, an insane institution, if that makes sense. So that's what this body of work is about. I've been in New York for 10 years now, and it all started off from, coming to America from Africa, looking at what people throw on the streets. And first my instinct was, you're finding a whole bed on the street. Where I come from, there's no way you're gonna find a bed. You're finding a whole plate, you're finding cups, you're finding forks, you're finding like real things that at home would be very valuable. So that is first where I'm picking up the valuable part of it. This is rubbish to other people, but it's on the streets of New York. So my earlier work started off just, picking up whatever I found on the streets and just had it in my studio space at that time. And I had tons of junk, which, it looks junk, but to me it was valuable. And along the way, as you want to figure out how I'm picking things around the streets, along the way, busy schedule, getting along the way and kind of now knowing how to use material and finding out different neighborhoods. Like in my neighborhood in Bushwick, there's a lot of scrap yards. It's like an industrial area, so I go to scrapyards. And you'll see a lot of bike materials in my work. I used to do Uber Eats on a bike for 2 years after getting my, my work authorization. I'm an artist. I'm figuring out how I can be an artist and also have a living at the end of the day. So for that, I would go and do Uber Eats on a bike for 2 years. So that helped me figure out all where bike stores are. So for my first solo show in New York, I'm in my studio and I'm having these tires that I'd taken off my bike. Looking at them, I'm like, how about I use them as a material? And I'm attracted to anything on the floor. There is that beauty about, something rusted, things on the street, so that's how I gather my material around. With the making, I never know even what I want to make. So I make sure I talk to the material. I don't have any sketches on me. And whatever is in there, I went to art school, of course. I know where to place the lips. I know where to place the nose. I know where to place the ears. So I have that imaginary sculpture in my head from things that I've read, basically from undergrad, the West African masks, and then I'm combining it with the Henry Moore techniques, because I studied a lot of European artists with British trained. So I have all those masters, the Giacometti, the Picasso, so they're in there. So whatever is coming out, so I don't have any sense of the sense of guidance is not on paper, but it's in there. And then when you create the sculpture, you put it out there, then you're looking at it back and forth. And then she started, I call my works she, he, they, and you feel it when it's speaking to you. I need a head wrap, depending on how it comes out. And then you're like, you know what, I'll give you a head wrap. So that is the most hard time for me to make art. It's not about even carving the sculptures, but adorning. I always call it adorning. The reason why I call it adorning, because I'm looking at these women, in a salon or, in a bathrooms, in bars, restaurants, how they come out and, powder themselves. They really want to look good. So I'm having all this imagination. I also watch a lot of drag shows. I like seeing I'm so dramatic anyways. I love drag shows. So I watch a lot. So I'm stuck with those head wraps. I like the beauty, yes. So I think it's an element that I take very slowly and respectful of adoring those girls, yeah. So my work is actually named after real names. My research started off, it's not even a research. I'm having these many questions. Around 2013, this is when I depart from my father. This is when I last talked to my father. He's alive, and I guess he's watching me somewhere. He sends me a letter and he's disowned me. It was a very tough letter. Actually, with that letter, I got my asylum right away. So many questions drove me to have questions. If I'm disowned, but he did not take away my name. So that is where it starts from. And then I'm starting to look for my origin. And I'm imagining, okay, so as a gay person, I can be disowned, but my name cannot be taken away from me. So this is where it starts from. And then I'm looking at, I also come from the Ngabi clan, which is the Antelope clan. I come from a whole clan. So I still hold my clan name. And I'm looking at all my queer friends around. We all have our traditional names. However much where we come from, we've been disowned. We've been disrespected by our parents or our guardians, but we still have these names on us. They can't take them away from us. These are our birth names. So this is where I take it on me to now start honoring where we come from, honoring my friends with their names, just to also have our own family. I started creating my own family and friends, giving names of my friends that I respect in the activism world. And before giving the names, everybody has where they come from. So this is going to also bring us to why I have different names from different regions now. My scope of study was from Buganda. Buganda is the biggest kingdom in Uganda. Uganda has 5 regions, the north, south, east, west, and the central. They all have kingdoms. But Buganda is in the central, it's the Buganda kingdom, and that is where I come from. And it's a big kingdom itself. It has 52 clans. Each clan is named after a mountain, hills, animals. So you'll see a lot of animals, clans in my work, plant-based in my work. So I come from the Antelope clan, which is the Ngabi clan. That is on my father's side. And then on my mother's side is the Langfish clan. So you'll see a lot of my work. Most of my shows, they have my grandfather's name on my mother's side and my mother from the Mamba clan, which is the Langfish clan. So that is where those names come from. This particular show, it is dedicated to all my queer friends from the north. So the northern people expect to see a name from the north, a name from the south, a name from the central, a name from the east, and a name from the west. So it's a whole now dedicated, and now what I do is I dedicate my works to the entire community in the entire country, in different regions, from where everybody comes from. When I go to New York, I'm in New York, I'm just landed in New York. I don't have a studio. I'm staying at somebody's place, a friend's, not even a friend place. Everything worked out well, but then I'm staying at this wonderful lady who hosted me for like 6 months. And as an artist, it's in your head, you can't stop. So I go to Blick, buy some paint, started just drawing, just known to keep myself idle. So I'm now getting paint. So as I'm in the subway, I'm looking at, these drag shows, I'm, seeing beautiful people in the city. I'd never seen a real trans man. I'd never seen a real trans woman. So all this kind of captured me. There's a lot of liberty in America, like liberty all over the world that we don't have home, where somebody just dresses the way they want. And my imagination started off, now we're having identity cards, which is a new thing. 10 years, maybe 20 years ago, that's when the Ugandan government introduced in identity cards. So this, like, everybody had to have an identity card. And my imagination, now traveling, I'm thinking, how about if this drag queen just walked into migration office or at the airport in their drag field, and that is the ID, that's their passport. It's also a form of like rebelling, like how about if we had a chance to think on how we want to dress when we're coming for a passport photo? It has to be black and white. It has to be a particular way. Your ears have to be like that. So these are imaginations of how I would feel an ID would be if we had a choice. So since we don't have a choice, I can make my own ID and how I think about it. So I call them Ndagamuntu, which is an ID card. It's an imagination of an ID photo, if that makes sense. But they're just imagination. Even when I draw from something, I'll be like, today I'm gonna draw from I like picking up newspapers on the street. Today I'm gonna draw from this person. And then when I start drawing, it comes out the way it comes out. And it's been a process of also learning how to paint and bring out whatever I want to bring out in a form of a laborious identity card. That is my imagination on that.